And now, of course, the wind is going to pick up right when I press the record button. Why do I do this? Welcome to Whiskey Mountains. I'm Adriana. Today we are out on the Great Western Trail here in Immigration Canyon, just outside of Salt Lake. And today we are trying the latest Booker's, and that is the Booker's 2102, which is the Tagalong Batch. So this is the second Booker's release of 2021. They normally come out with 4 a year, and this one's called Tagalong Batch. When we're talking about Booker's, we're normally looking at about 6 to 7 year old whiskey, and this one is 6 years and 5 months, I think. Wrote it down. Yeah, 6 years and 5 months, and it's 127.9 proof, so that's 63.95% ABV. So it's a pretty solid proof there. Kind of on the younger side when we're thinking about bourbons. The thing about the Booker's is that they are stored in a part of the warehouse where Booker No of Jim Beam felt like it had sort of the best temperature and best sort of environmental conditions to develop the best flavors in bourbon. And that's why Booker's are kind of these special, similar to the idea of a single barrel release. Booker's is going to run you generally around $90 to $100 now. You might be able to find it depends on your area, still at less than 90, like 80, 85. I'm going to get this whiskey into the glass, and while I do that, if you want to like and subscribe, the sign's not going to hold up well to all this wind. I think I need to make a new sign. Okay, so we have it in the glass. Try to protect it from dirt and bugs, but that didn't work at all. Instead, I got stuff in there anyways. It's not a Whiskey Mountains episode unless there is crap floating in your glass. Oh. So on the nose. Now out here, as always, I'm getting a little more earthiness on the nose, but I still get a lot of like brown sugar. Actually, maybe more vanilla up front. I think at home, the brown sugar is more forward, but out here, the vanilla is a little more forward. Maybe because vanilla is more natural of a flavor, I don't know, but that's really coming forward. And again, there's like an earthiness, and it of course has the nuttiness, but whereas like the Donahoe's and some previous, especially Pigskin Batch, I thought it was a really dry nuttiness. This one is a much sweeter, smoother nuttiness. So instead of the shell, it's almost more like a creamy peanut butter. But I do think peanut butter has a very distinct thing, different between just peanuts. So it's more of just like smooth, sweet peanuts in a way. There's just a full-on bug floating in this, but it doesn't take away from the flavor. So I just keep getting distracted and staring at it. But, woo, she hits you with the proof. This is one for a free bitch. This definitely hits you, especially on that first sip with the proof. That's going to be a big thing that hits you. Like I mentioned, it's 127.9 proof. So that's not surprising. And I'm even halfway through the bottle and still that first sip is coming in hot, but not too hot. Like it's definitely coming in hot, but as a person who does like high proofs, it's not coming in too hot. And it's on that second sip where you're really going to start getting into the flavors of it. Oh, I ate the bug, and you could taste the bug. Well, that was special. That second sip, not so much actually. Second sip was a disaster. Oh my god. Okay, so sip some water. Oh, there's a huge bug on my phone too. What just went across the screen was a huge, I guess it's an ant, but it's mega huge, that just crawled across the camera lens on the phone. So anyways, second sip was a disaster, so third sip is where the flavor is going to come in. Just double checking. But for real now, I love this one. I think it just has like a really creamy texture to it. So this like vanilla and brown sugar is really coming through on the palate, and honestly caramel. At home I didn't get the caramel as strongly, but out here I'm definitely getting it more. At home I really didn't quite get caramel. It was mostly brown sugar and vanilla. I'm holding this branch because the wind is but I want to look at this view behind me. Come on. I mean, it's so pretty here. I love it. I love this trail. But in this third sip, I'm really getting this creaminess. And like I said before, even on the Donahos, there was a bit more of a dryness to it, but not nearly as much as like the pigskin batch. But even now when I go back and compare it, now that it's opened up to this side by side at home, I get more of a dryness and not as much sweetness. Here, you're getting the nuttiness, but it's just this really yummy creaminess to it. I don't know how to describe without being too sweet. Also, it's still got the spice. That proof really rounds that out and makes it so that it's not too sweet or too bland or too single note. Like, I still feel like it has kind of a depth of flavor. And in the finish I almost get like a mildly burnt pecan note. So, you know, in the finish it's where the spice tends to come back, or tannic notes will come back, and I think that's kind of what I'm getting here. And it almost comes across as like a slightly burnt caramel or slightly burnt pecan pie.
Proud?
But I would be proud
To partake
to partake
of your pecan pie.
of your pecan pie.
Pecan pie.
Pecan pie.
Pecan
Pecan pie.
Where it's just like a bit of acridness, but honestly it's still really good. It's still got a good amount of sweetness. It's not crazy on the pepper spice, and it lingers on the tongue. It does have a pretty good mouthfeel and pretty coating, and you know, just that bit of a Kentucky hug that you're looking for. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this air out now a bit, but I'll try to somewhat cover it so I don't get any more bugs in it. I've had my extra protein for the day, thank you. It's so pretty here. So for just a quick bit of trail talk, instead of while I'm hiking, because this has been a fairly steep hike, and I just kind of want to be able to watch my footing as I walk when I'm headed back down. But we're on the Great Western Trail. This is actually kind of an extension of where I hiked for the ECBP B521 video. So there's some more views of this area in that, and I mean, completely worth it. Like, I can't get over how pretty this whole area is. There's been lots of aspens, which are kind of one of my favorite things along this hike. I know this area isn't shaded, but actually most of the hike is shaded. But it's just outside of Salt Lake. It's an Immigration Canyon. Even the drive through the canyon, if you're just on a quick visit, is so pretty and totally worth doing. But yeah, so I think this whiskey should be about done airing out, and we will get back to it. And I just hope you enjoy the review, but also enjoy these beautiful freaking mountain views. So now I've aired out the whiskey, but I always enjoy airing out a high proof whiskey and seeing how it tastes afterwards. Let's see if I can get that guy. There we go. So now, oh man, if you really go deep on it right now, it just smells exactly like pecan pie fresh out of the oven. I mean, the full, like the syrup in the pie, the pecans on top that are like a little bit burnt. I've not gotten that before, but that smells amazing. I don't think I've ever stuck my nose quite this deep into it before though, after it's aired out, so that's not to say you might not get that nose at home, like indoors. That is good. Plus by now, well, in the finish you really get the proof. It's kind of staying at the very back of my tongue and staying right back here now. But up front, again, it's just still really creamy and sweet and caramelly. I'm getting, I think earlier I said pepper spice. I'd say it's more like cinnamon spice towards the back of the palate and in the finish. And there's like a almost like a dark chocolate or like a high cocoa content, sort of like where it's a little more on the bitter side. Almost, okay, and it's only if you like really look for it. I'd say it's fairly subtle, but there's almost like a dark chocolate covered cherry sort of thing going on. I would not say that's very forward on the palate, like you can certainly get on certain other whiskeys. There's also sort of brown sugar and vanilla, and that's what I was getting also earlier on. But this is, as it's opened out, up, kind of turned more into this carameliness. I really like this. As you can tell, definitely a fan. I feel like Booker's is really maybe starting to recover from some of those poorer showings that it had. I think there's been, you know, kind of some issues with the fact that Booker's has not been as high of quality, but the price is still going up. So, but I did like the Donahoe's batch. As you can see with this bottle, you know, I've definitely dug into it. So this review is not a fresh crack first pour. This is very much a we've had it for a bit, I've gotten to have a few sips inside kind of thing, and really try it out and give it time to air out. And I'm a fan. So it is one I'd recommend that if you could get it at a decent price, 80 to 90, you know, and especially if you really like that creamy, nutty profile, then I think you'll really, really like this. And there is some oak. That thought went through my head and I forgot to sort of say it. For being only 6 to 7 years old, there's a surprising amount of oak presence in it. So I think this is a real kind of comeback whiskey, a real comeback Booker's here. Definitely recommend. I'm really enjoying it. If it was $70, I'd buy 2 bottles. Thanks for joining me here on Whiskey Mountains. I hope you can find some whiskeys that will make you shimmy, or at least make you really happy and just something you can really enjoy, especially with friends. So, salud. She's gonna have some water.
Oh my god. I actually saw it on your tongue. That was nasty.
That was disgusting. Oh, at least the bug is gone.
Friggin' wind. Now the alcohol would kill it.
I can hear you. Don't bring your husband on a hike. It's a terrible idea.
That's because I'm in the picture.
I'm gonna have to edit so much more because I brought dipshit along. Thank you. Nick is now trying to hold the bush for me. Yeah, he's gonna come in handy after all. So, I love pecan pie, however y'all say it. Lame, terrible. Because I'm a genius.